What's up, guys? This is Zero, and we're doing another episode of Absolute Zero. And my friend Travis, and we are going to be talking a little bit about the future of mobile gaming and potentially some VR discussions. So let's start this episode with, today, I was thinking about our episode today, and I was like, how am I going to talk about this? And sure enough, in my break room, there was a guy sitting there with an Xbox controller and a tablet right in front of him, and he was playing Pokemon Yellow.
What?
Yeah, he had it on like a 6 or 7 inch tablet sitting right there in front of him on the desk. He had a controller in his hand. He was playing Pokemon Yellow, and I was like, that's actually it's actually pretty cool. So I sat there and watched him play. It was pretty funny.
That was pretty cool.
So, Travis, you know a little bit more about handheld gaming than I do. I know I stopped doing it after Pokemon Blue and Red came out, and then I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, I've dabbled into it, into the newer stuff, like, the PSP, the PS Vita, and the newer, what do you call them, the newer Nintendo devices. And honestly, personally, from my standpoint, I don't see anything promising from handheld gaming anymore. Because, I mean, like you said, everything died from, after, like, when we were kids.
You would argue that the golden age of handheld gaming is dying, huh?
Yes,
That's interesting.
If not dead.
Which is strange because casual gamers are now starting, for a while now, phone games are really popular. And as an indie game developer, I published an iPhone game.
I mean, that's probably where it's going, is mobile as opposed to, like, dedicated devices.
But is mobile gaming, I'm holding it with my hands. Does that count? Does that mean it's mobile gaming? I think so.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like a dedicated device, like say like a Game Boy or, stuff like that, where you have to carry around like, cartridges or.
I boot up Flappy Bird. I'm just addicted. That's the only mobile game that I play.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
my record's 60, by the way, for all my subscribers. If you beat it, maybe I'll share a special video with you.
Oh God.
Oh God. Not that kind of video. Or is it?
Yeah, we'll see. But because I remember seeing a couple years ago, I remember going to breakfast with my dad, and I remember across the restaurant there was these kids that were actually sitting there playing Game Boys. That was the last time I've actually seen kids playing,
I remember
Game Boys.
Proper kids. 3 years ago, I was at a PAX East. I think it was the second one, and there was a hallway that was dedicated. It was just beanbags and kids playing on a DS. The whole thing was like pillows, blankets, and DSs just everywhere.
I've seen that too at a lot of conventions. Like I go to a couple anime conventions once or twice a year, and there's pretty much little rooms dedicated to handheld gaming fun time. Of course, that room's always full, so...
Yeah, no, so it's not like this culture doesn't exist. It absolutely does. I feel like we're on the outside of it. So I'm sure if we had a specialist that was here to talk about handheld gaming, he'd be like, it's a growing industry. There's so many people into it.
Yeah, because speaking of so many people into it, I just thought of this. I was hanging out with Matt, the other day, and he was telling me to buy a new DS, a 3DS with a new Pokemon game. But I'm like, I don't want to drop, $100-something on a handheld device in a game that I'm only going to touch maybe once or twice a month.
Yeah. They did some 3D stuff that was pretty cool, like the 3DS, where it's 3D, and that's pretty cool. The 3D elements of those those handhelds is really cool. So let's take it to the next step. Let's make a VR. In terms of VR, I remember back in the day, Buffet, when you had the headset and it was those shitty games and there was no immersion. You just felt like an idiot. But now I used the Oculus Rift for the first time like a couple of months ago, and it blew my mind. Almost like that video of that Russian guy that can't handle it. He's like, oh, whoa, there's and he like falls down on the ground and people like help him up and shit.
What?
Yeah, no, I guess I'll see if I can...
I've seen that. I'll have to look for that.
God damn it! I'll have to post it in the link in the comments below if I can.
I think it's on my Facebook.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But granted, from my I haven't seen the Oculus Rift personally.
You need to. You need to.
But when I heard from you and other people, it's amazing. But I remember when I was in Vegas, probably about, geez, when I was what, 17, for my cousin's wedding. I remember going into one of the arcades down in one of the hotels. They had like an older virtual reality setup. Where it's like you had that, obviously it had the headset, but it was on a, and you had a gun. You were on like a little treadmill type thing.
Is
So,
this
like,
an actual decent VR system?
I didn't, I didn't get to try it, but they also had a monitor of what was.
It wasn't an Oculus Rift, was it?
No, this was this was what, 7 years ago at this point.
Oh wow, okay, so it wasn't even a thing. I
No,
guess I was skeptical when I first heard of the Oculus Rift. I was like, oh, VR, because that worked out so well the first time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, plus you got to remember the technology's come a lot further than it has in the past, obviously.
Like, I never saw the purpose of playing Frogger in VR.
Well, instead of being a top-down, it could be actually,
Oh no, don't even go there. Don't even go there. Have you used the Oculus Rift yet?
I have not. I've seen a lot of the Let's Players on YouTube use it. Some of the games look like they're kind of fun, but they all look kind of gimmicky, kind of almost Facebook style games.
I hate when they display the two circles of the overlapping Oculus. Like, why am I looking at that? I don't care what that looks like. I want to see like it in 3D. So.
yeah, well, I mean, I guess they're trying to show what it looks like from the outside. But what was I going to say? Dang it.
You forgot.
Oh, Valkyrie.
Yeah, Eve Valkyrie looks amazing.
Yeah,
And then that in VR is going to be the coolest experience. Okay, so
that alone is worth spending the money on.
I know. So from my standpoint, like if I'm looking at someone using an Oculus Rift, every time I see someone do it, I think of Chronicles of Riddick, those things that can like sense where people are. They're like looking around and shit, and they're like, what is that? Like, that's what the people that use those headsets look like.
But at the same time, it's like that video I showed you. I'll have to post in the link or the description.
Is it the lag one?
Yeah, the lag one. It's like where it's like if say the Oculus Rift does become more of like a say everyday thing with like a like an overlay, kind of what the Google Glass does, but obviously a lot smaller. But where it's like both eyes, kind of gives you like a more like in-depth. Like HUD type deal.
Well, I mean, we scratched the surface of this in the last video, and I posted a comment to a short film called Sight, I believe.
Yep. And
it was really cool. It used like lenses or whatever to control stuff, and it was really good. But I had a program that made a really good point that the future of VR is Facebook Vacations, because Facebook just bought it. So think about, you go on a vacation, 1 million cameras on it. And then you go home, you post your vacation online, and then all your friends put their VR sets on and then like walk around where you've been so they can see it for themselves. And you take stupid selfies, like a 360 selfie.
Sounds creepy, actually.
That is actually terrifying, isn't it? So I guess, Mike, what would you say is the future of VR for you?
I guess I don't know. I mean, I see Sony's creating their own Oculus Rift type device too, and I think was it Valve or somebody's creating one as well. So there's potential there that this is going to get good, but I'm worried that it's going to turn out to be kind of gimmicky, kind of like Nintendo revolutionized gaming with their motion controls, which everybody does pretty much now, and a lot of that is still just kind of gimmicky, casual style games, at least from what I've seen, even with Kinect and some of the other stuff that's out there.
But I feel like this is like the next step in immersion. Like, if you want to experience something fully in depth, like here's the disconnect. First off, the controller. Controller is a huge disconnect. Like, that takes me out of it. If you want to do pure video game experience, I mean, there's some classic experience where you have a controller and you have a TV. So the distance between your eyes and the TV is a disconnect. The controller is a disconnect. The VR headset puts you right there. There's almost no disconnect. It's so immersive. It's crazy. And you think it'd be different with non-realistic games. I played a non-realistic game where you look at your hands and you look around and it's just like, I don't know, it's like, it's not supposed to be realistic. It looks abstract and stuff. But you know what you're looking at, and it's crazy cool. I was like, and it's still immersive, so it's an artistic thing and still be super immersive.
True. Now, what do you guys think of, say, using VR for, say, like film, TV, and stuff like that?
Film and TV?
Yeah.
Here's an actually better question. What about VR in terms of training? So let's say, I don't know, you say you're being a surgeon, you just want a Surgeon Simulator 2026 or something where you're looking at a VR headset and you're looking around. It's super immersive and there's no disconnect there. Same thing with fighter pilots. Instead of them being in that really ghetto-looking headset thing, I actually have them in a VR. Oculus Rift is going to be way more immersive.
Something like that for the, like, say, the fighter pilots.
Yeah, no, I know that. But like that one where it's like a projected screen looks like crap. Like
I've seen those.
Time, you still get the whole. It's the whole physical part of it too, not just.
Oh yeah, I know, but here's the thing: have the Oculus Rift thing still on there, and still have it project the. I mean, you would still have everything analog. You'd still be able to touch everything.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like kind of like a dual purpose type deal.
Like instead of the projection, have it on a green screen so that the Oculus Rift would have a camera on the front, so it picks up everything it sees, and then everything green it sees is going to be swapped out with an environment.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, I don't know. It's just a thought. But I would love to play Kerbal Space Program and sit inside the cockpit and just see all the dials and go into space. That would be awesome.
That would be kind of cool.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, you could use it for just about anything, firefighter training or something, and just running through a burning building would be pretty sweet too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Rescue people.
And think about this: horror games, dude.
Oh God.
If you think you get scared from just looking at a monitor, you're like, oh shh, like think about thing, and it's like right there.
Oh God, I would have so much fun with that.
That's terrifying. So the new Alien game would be terrifying.
Oh man.
I know, the new Alien game everyone's all scared about, but like it looks terrifying.
All right, here's a trick. If you guys, if they do make, say, a horror game for, say the Oculus Rift, and somebody's playing it, just come in quietly with the
and start
bottle,
like
with the squirt bottle
up on them,
and then just start squirting them like just periodically.
Oh God,
like that.
That'd be hilarious. Or just once, just to freak them out, or just go and like start kind of like touching the back of their neck. That'd be terrifying. Oh God.
Have some broken relationships over that one.
That reminds me of the first immersion experience that I had when I was a kid. Was in like a Disneyland thing where it was the Alien ride, and I was sitting in a chair and they had like water spray the back of your legs to freak you out. It was terrifying. I was like, oh shit! Ah!
What?
I was like, Mom and Dad, why'd you take me in here? I'm like a little kid. I'm like terrified of aliens.
So is that the face you make whenever you get touched?
When I get touched? Yes. Absolutely.
The best face ever.
I thought so. Anyway.
That should be the thumbnail.
But yeah, one thing I don't see is VR with mobile gaming. That does not work. I don't see. Like, hang on, let me put my Oculus Rift off, and then have a little shitty fucking like. What's the point of that anymore?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can see like, oh, let me put this in my pocket and have it running the app while I put my Oculus Rift on. That'd be cool. That would give you a more mobile VR experience, but not have the the physical thing in the way.
True. Now, I mean, couldn't you also use, say, VR also?
Isn't that what VR is, dude?
Virtual
augmented reality, meaning it augments. Yeah.
Yeah.
They already have it going on with some of the Oculus Rift stuff, where they turn the room you're in into a game.
Oh, nice.
Which is bizarre to me, but it's still, it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you also use it for not just gaming, but like, say, like engineering, or say people who build houses and stuff like that. So,
I think the best way to do augmented reality, you know how we always want like a really nice thing from like, I don't know, the Avengers or something, where they have the cool displays that they can manipulate and stuff, all like Minority Report style. I think using VR, like an Oculus Rift, is almost the only way to do it without being crazy technology, trying to figure out stuff where we haven't even come close to figuring out that technology.
you're saying
So
it's
you
like
could augment your reality so that you could do an expanded display, so you could manipulate it with an Oculus Rift in front of you and feel like you're manipulating it properly.
I can see that happening.
Absolutely. I mean, they already made the Oculus Rift better in the sense that it has the dots on them, so it tracks it even better with the camera that would be mounted on your console, so it's even more responsive. So let's say you had that not only, but you were wearing gloves with points on it that your camera could track, so you could manipulate things more precisely.
So
it's like hair and shit on my hands. Right? Yeah.
I could say something, but I'm not going to. So
I don't know. Don't hold back, Travis, on my account.
I'll save it for later.
That's what she said.
Oh man.
Oh no. This is where this show has gone to. We've come so far, and it just turns into that's what she said jokes. Let's throw your mom joke in there for good measure.
How is your mom doing, by the way?
Oh, shut the fuck up. But yeah, so fun. Like for 5 minutes of just like, I don't know, busting out some Flappy Bird for a minute just to get some simple satisfaction out of it. That's where mobile gaming is for me right now. It's like a very small time killer. It's not going to be that binge, oh my god, my thumbs hurt because I just played 24 hours of Pokemon straight. Like, and dude, I got like the battery pack, I got the stupid magnifying glass thing with the lights on it and shit. Like, I went all out when I was a kid, and I just sat there, I was like glued to it. So yeah, when they were like, kids these days, they're gonna have sore thumbs because, you know, they all they do is play. Yeah, no, not anymore. But also, that's another thing with VR, where you're not actually manipulating a physical thing. It's less stressful for your thumbs or whatever, right? I would assume, because you're not actually touching anything, unless you're really, you know, air is way too much for you.
Yeah, because well, you know, because VR could also be used for not, you know, like a whole lot of things. In terms of, say, like, I'm one to speak, but like exercise and stuff like that, you know, like treadmills and, you know, attached to like 360 treadmills, you can walk in any direction. You know, but
I've actually seen in Oculus Rift a 360-degree platform. So he was running and playing like TF2 or something.
Yeah, which I think is amazing.
It's really cool, and that's like the pinnacle of gaming right there, is being able to actually. So like, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and get fat because all I do is play video games. Like, what if it was actually like? So we make fun of DayZ because it's the running simulator, 2014 or whatever. Yeah. So let's play DayZ and run along the tracks and pretend we're trains for fucking 10 hours. What if you actually had to run a quarter of a mile? Like, you'd die. I'm saying a quarter of a mile, so everyone's like laughing. He's like, I can't even walk a quarter of a mile. What a fucking loser. But seriously, like, if you had to walk more than a kilometer in a video game, like, that changes gameplay. Like, wow, huge. Like, that makes everything way more tactical.
Well, with the one thing, like, with that giant device like that, like, that's the coolest thing with VR gaming for me, is to actually, now I have to run a mile to get to where I'm going. But who's going to be able to afford that or put that in their living room? Like, there's not a lot of people that are going to be able to have a 360 treadmill just sitting in their living room hanging out.
That's very true, but like 5 years ago, if we told someone that we could print 10 houses in a day with a printer, you would have been like, huh, that's never going to happen. And like a company did the other day, they printed 10 houses in 24 hours.
Jesus.
Printed
awesome.
it. They used a
printer,
and they printed a house.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. If you told me that 5 years ago, I'd be like, well, yeah, okay. Well, so who's to say that right now, like, who's to say, like, oh, in 10 years that 3D printing and everything makes everything so cheap that we can't afford that, or technology changes so it doesn't require such a device.
Yeah.
You know. Also, thinking about doing something, you know, I watch like all these science channels, like thinking about exercise, like actually, if I, instead of moving my hand up, if I just thought about doing it, it's almost identical. The same neurons fire at the same time, and you actually get the experience of actually doing that. So people that actually did that received like 30% of, or I think it's 30, it's an arbitrary number at this point, but 30% increase in muscle tissue just from thinking about it. So it does help. So if you think about running instead of just hitting a W key, you know, you might actually.
So you're saying if I pretend I'm Forrest Gump and run across the country, I can become a stick?
actually take its place for actually working out.
Oh, no
But
shit.
it does actually, it does work. But anyway, we're getting off subject. Tangent. Just kidding. So, I don't know. Thoughts, anyone? Closing ceremonies.
Closing ceremonies.
Final thoughts on mobile gaming. Andy, what do you think? Mobile
Mo-
gaming.
Mobile gaming.
Final thoughts.
Get a PC.
But like a laptop? That's mobile, right?
Oh, damn it.
Touche, kid. Touche.
So that's another thing. Is a laptop mobile gaming? I don't think so.
Yes.
I mean, technically, you could get a brown bag connection and rock Battlefield on the bus if you wanted to. We should make a channel called Battlefield Bus Friends, where we just play Battlefield on a bus all the time and just start swearing at each other in like public transit.
That'd be
Kermit
kind
would
of
kick us off, I'm sure.
Yeah, it would be fucking crazy. All right, so I think that's about it for this episode. Like I said, Mike's joining us. He has his own YouTube channel. I'm going to put his link down in the comments below. He can't see his thumbs up right now, but he's giving one because I'm talking, and Google Hangouts takes over whenever whoever's talking. I'll put his link to his YouTube channel down below. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye, guys.